SRC again keep ringing. And so we decided we would go with SRC Private Primary School. And I'll tell you something. It, it is the most awesome decision that I have made, my husband have made for Jishon. Because when I first
Welcome to the Caribbean Parenting Digital Show. This talk show is presented each week by host Alina Lewis and features guests from our Caribbean islands right here on this channel. As we discuss family finances, proverbial principles, child guidance, and academics at home, guests join in weekly to have conversations that give helpful tips about how to be a better parent. Like, subscribe, follow, and share as you tune in each week for new episodes of the Caribbean Parenting Digital Show. Hi, good evening, and welcome to the Caribbean Parenting Digital Show. On this platform, we have conversations that give helpful tips about how to be a better parent each day. On this episode of the Caribbean Parenting Digital Show, we are welcoming once again our guest, Genielle Hall-Blondell, as she shares with us about the importance of building the communication skills between parents and teens. Now, of course, the relationship between the parent and teen is important because it allows parents to understand what their child is thinking or feeling. And the key is not to be afraid to talk to our teens, even though it sometimes can be an uncomfortable process. Now, our guest today is Genielle Hall-Blondell, titled the Queen of Teens and titled by teens that she has coached because she can relate to them and get them to love who they are without approval. Now, let's all get together. Grab your notepads because you guys know last day she gave us some awesome nuggets that we could have jotted down and do a timestamp, make our checklist. So grab your notepads, grab your pen, giving you a sec because it's going to be good. We have none other than Genielle Hall-Blondell joining in with us for this episode of the Caribbean Parenting Digital Show. Hi and good evening, Genielle. How are you?
I'm well. Good evening, Alina. I'm fine. And yourself?
Yes, good to have you yet another time
I
on the show
know.
chatting with mummies, daddies, and uncles. And of course, today our focus is communicating with teens. Because for a
Hmm.
lot of parents, communicating with teens is a scary process and a scary experience, and we don't know what to do, what to say, how to do. And it's so interesting to see how many parents are almost as though they are afraid to talk to their teens. And fear comes from a lot of places. Sometimes we're afraid that we're going to offend them. Sometimes we're afraid that we're going to speak to them in the wrong manner. And sometimes we're just afraid because we ourselves, as the parent, feel like we're not sure if we're equipped to be able to communicate with our teens. So we're going to unpack. Glad that you're here this afternoon. So we're chatting. How do we use communication as a tool to close generation gap? Because of course we know that that generation gap sometimes is a big part in the challenges we have with the communication. Can you share why it's not about buffing, it's not about the beating, it's not about the punishment, but it can be about communication as a tool when we're trying to close that generation gap?
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you mentioned the word fear, right? Because it's a genuine fear from parents. And the greatest fear that our parents have while trying to communicate to our teen is that they fear that they're going to end up in yet another quarrel, in yet another argument, in yet another burst out, right? Because when all of these things arise, your teen is pushing further away. So we fear to have the conversation because we don't want the shouting match and the yelling and the buffing and the getting licks. Look, the generation of getting licks right now has like diminished. There are some teens that they just look at you when they get in licks to think it ain't doing anything, right? They just like I don't know, made for it or born for it. They just stand up and this is not helping. I'm just going to take my licks and it's going to be the same thing. Because you see, when we use that as a behavioral tool with our teen all the time, it's like writing the maths paper over and over and over again. You already know the answers. You already
Yeah.
know that your mom's going to flip, something's going to be thrown at your head. You know, when I was young, I grew up with my gran, right? And we used to call it duck and dive. And what that meant was, is that you answered her back or you looked anyway like displeased what she said. You either duck or you dive. So we used, we laughed at that growing up thinking, oh, you ducked and dive. But it's different now. And when we know to do better, we do better. So this is
Yes.
why learning to communicate effectively with your teen is the number one great parenting strategy that you need to learn as of yesterday, right? But it's okay if what you did is not working anymore. That's why you're on this show today, because you want to know something different so that you can create a relationship with your teen.
Yeah, and definitely talking about creating and having those strategies for communication. Um, I told the parents pull out their checklist, pull out their notepads. So, what
Yes.
would be that checklist? Those things that we can list as strategies to really help work on our communication with teens.
I call coaching our teens, parenting our teens, like a ninja strategy. Once we know how our teen is made up, this is why I say to us parents, nobody knows your daughter, your son better than you do, right? And because you know what they like, what they don't, they don't like, right? What will take them off, what will make them happy, you have to know that. And once you know that, you now need to kind of predict what their behaviors are going to be, what their answers is going to be, how they're going to retaliate, right? So we have to gear ourselves up about learning how to ask questions. Now, there is, we moms, especially moms, we love to be in control, and that's okay. But it's difficult to be in control of a being that is in the stage of teen, still wanting to know mommy and daddy, but yet want to know who they are. So when we become too controlling, that creates them to kind of like, oh no, this is too stifling. I need a way out. So we have to learn how to be in control of rather than controlling. So one of my strategies, and I hope you guys have got your pen because this here is juicy. We need to learn how to ask the right questions. And how, what is the right questions you're asking me, right, Janelle? So what it is, we're going to get rid of the why. Stop asking, why did you do this? Why did this happen? Why did you not do this? Let's ask more open-ended questions like the what and the how. So can you tell me what made you not do your homework today? That's going to get them to think. Because when we asking the why question repeatedly, they don't have an answer for that. If you say to them, well, how come did you not get your homework done? You're not like prying, you're not prodding, you're still being in control, and you're asking them to use their brain to think. Because many of our teens say something, but not necessarily mean it. And the reason why they will say something and not mean it is they lack the experience of how to describe what they are really feeling. Alina?
Keep talking. My earphones. Keep talking.
So I'll give you another example. You may find that your teen doesn't keep their room clean, right? Why? They don't find value in cleaning their room. They don't. They don't find value in washing the wares. They don't find value in doing the laundry. They don't find value in cleaning the yard. They don't see the value in that. Why? Because mommy can do it, big brother can do it, even daddy can do it. You don't need me to do it. So when we say, why did you not clean your room? What they really want to say is, because just do it. Because after a while, right, the room gets so filthy, you do jump in sometimes with rage to clean the room. So we're not asking, why did you not clean your room? We are going to teach you the value of cleaning the room. So how come did you not get chance to clean your room? Do you feel comfortable with the mess? Is it something that I can help you with? Is it something that I can help support you with, with either changing around, cleaning, keeping it, clean? What can I do? What do you need from me to help you so that you can keep your room clean? And that is the language we need to use, because once we communicate the right language, knowing that our teen, basically, right, they will retaliate, they will mumble under their breath, they will walk away, they will say God knows what. I'm not saying to dismiss that behavior. I'm saying let's not get distracted by their behavior, because once we get distracted by their rudeness and by them being resistant, we are angry at the behavior and we forget what we've asked them to do. So it's a distraction. We have at that moment not to deal with their behavior and deal with the task in mind. And then when the task is over, we will come back and say, hey, I really didn't like the way that when we were speaking about cleaning a room, I didn't like how you mumbled under your breath. What's all that about?
Yes.
That's how we
And
will deal with that.
yes, definitely. And even Janelle, sometimes when we have those moments, there is a breakdown in communication. So even as you think about that breakdown, could you then go a little deeper to talk about how parents could reopen communication after a breakdown, regardless whether the teen initiated the breakdown or maybe even as a parent, we're having a bad day and we create the breakdown. But how do we reopen
Mm.
communication after the breakdown?
Oh, I like that. Do it when we're calm. Let's do this, the reopening, the coming back, the addressing, when we're calm. Because your teen is meant to press every single button of yours, because they know, they study you like a subject at school. They know what ticks you off. They know when to ask for things. They know when to send you bananas. So they're going to be pressing your buttons. And it is a natural instinct for you to want to shout, to get angry, to yell. And that's okay. But let's not take up real estate in that
Yeah.
anger. Let's not take up home and live with that. And then 2-3 days later, you're still going on about your teen's
Yeah.
behavior when it could be addressed immediately. When if you can calm down, if you have to walk away and address it, you need to address it, because the behavior is not acceptable. But once we start to take the behavior as something personally, and we get all emotional about it, that is when the communication line breaks down, because we are thinking that our teen is personally attacking us, or there's some martial arts coming to chop you. And it's quite a conniving. I've heard many parents say that my teen is very conniving. And really, they're not. They are literally trying to get away with, one, with what they think they can, if been allowed by the parents, and two, testing waters. Should I? I always say double dutching. You remember a long time, Alina, we used to play skipping and it was double dutch, and you're on the other side and you're like, okay, should I go now? And oh, I think it's a good time. Oh, it's not good. That's what parenting is. We're double dutching. And we've got to know when it is the right time and when it's not the right time. Because we were young once. We may not remember all that we got up to, right? And it will be certain things that we want to share, we don't want to share. But knowing the time is important. Acknowledging that, look, you know what? I shouldn't have blown up like that. I really lost my cool. I'm calm now. let's address what went wrong. Let me tell you, and start with your admission. Start with where you went wrong before you dive into where your team went wrong. Because if you're shouting and yelling over a period of time, and then your team knows that you are, I am a recovering yeller, Alina. So I know that pattern. They were like, "Oh, there goes, mommy's gonna shout again." And it's like, the cartoon we used to watch with Snoopy, and he has his friend and he goes womp 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 womp. That's how that's how we song to our teens, right? That's all that they're hearing is womp 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 womp. So calm down, come back to the conversation, lay your admission on the table, lay where you could have gone better and what it is you wanted out of that, and allow your team to express their self, and turn the page. Turn the
You,
page. Let's not have this conversation the next day.
you know what comes to mind even as I hear you share on that it's important to not be wrong and strong. And it's also
Yes.
important to not be right and strong. Because, sometimes
Mm.
as parents, we could be so busy being right. And I was
Yep.
right and I told you so, and you should have listened. That that right and strong also sometimes works to a negative and breaks down, creates that further breakdown. So I love that when I listen to you, what I'm hearing from you is that it's important for parents to operate from a place of humility as well. Because when we
Absolutely.
operate from a place of humility, it makes it so much easier for our teens to connect with us. Yeah?
Absolutely, Alina. And we don't, as parents, have to go through this power struggle. Well,
Yes.
I'm your mother.
Yeah.
Duh. What made you think I didn't know that? We don't need to use that line. They know
Yeah.
that. We don't need to fight for authority. It's already there. So,
Yeah.
but we use those lines to gain dominance, to think I am in control. I am controlling you. You are the child and I am the parent. But again, once we learn, and this is something we do within Inspire Teens, we teach you the development timeline of your teen. So if you think that your teen is not normal and you're studying, I wonder if my teen is the only one that does that, and you
Yes.
speak to other parents with teens, you realize you
You're
have
not
my
the only
child.
one.
Or, yeah, you borrowed my child. It becomes now like, okay, I'm okay. Once we know
Yes.
the development timeline, right? Once we know that we don't have to put our stick down and I am your mother and you will listen. It doesn't work like that. And it doesn't work anymore. So I always encourage, if you're a parent listening onto this right now and you know that you have tried everything and anything and nothing seems to work, that you've tried bribing, that you've tried everything responding to
All of
you,
it. Yeah.
I would like you to think that all you have to do now is just to learn a new way to parent your teen. That's it.
Yeah. I love
And
that.
once you know that, once you have those access codes, this is part of cracking the teen code that we go through. Once you have those access codes, you can communicate effectively with your teen. You can build a bond. You can now react, right, to
Yes.
situations and various things that you may long time would have lost control of. So
Yeah.
it's important to know how to change how so that you can do better.
Yes, definitely. And as we're chatting, I'm thinking about all those opportunities where uh, the experience is where parents say sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't listen. Sometimes I get through, sometimes I don't. And that in itself, a lot of times, is overwhelming for parents. So then,
Mhm.
what I want to prompt you is, how do we maintain healthy communication between parents and teens? Because I think that's an important question that a lot of parents
Mhm.
are wondering. How do we maintain healthy communication so that it's not so much of an extreme back and forth, an extreme up and down, but we can maintain that communication?
Okay. And that's a super duper question, right? First thing, you need to be involved in your teen's life, right? It's not good. Yes, it's not good that it's just average. School is not a place that you send them so that you can get on with your work. School is their life. And now that we're going through this new era, a new temporary normal, that school is it's no longer available, right? So their life has been turned upside down because for those who really wanted to express their freedom and express who they are, loved going to school because they could do that. But now for the last couple of months, they've been left at home. That is like kind of scary because now things are a little ticklish, right? So when you get involved in what your teen does, what you when you get involved in what your teen likes, you show an interest in who they are becoming. You're showing them, and this is not for you to criticize or to judge, not because you're a doctor or you studied law or you're in a family business that it's agriculture and you want your teens to follow in that footsteps. It can't be like that anymore because there's so much more choice, especially with regard to employment than we used to have in back in the days. There's a job for everything right now. So the choices, we go back to the choices that they have, and the more experience that they gain, the more expanding. So when you stay interested, Monday, want to learn the piano, Tuesday, by Wednesday, they want to play football, and by Friday, well, I think I'm karate now. That's normal. Right? That's normal. We need to feed them. We need to give them nurturing thoughts. We need to expose them to people that are going to expand their immediate sight. So we now have to look at our friends and family in our circle. What are they exhibiting to our teens? What are their success stories? What are their testimonies? What are their transformations? Again, we are putting our teens in situations that they're going to have no other choice but to think.
Yes. So definitely now, Janelle, it's that time where we get into the Q&A. We get into those questions that parents have posted, and we're gonna have you share with them your thoughts, your recommendations, and the like. So one of the first questions that we have is, how do you show your teenager that I am the parent and I am in control? You have to do what I say. What's your feedback on that?
Well, we touched on this just
Mm.
earlier, right? So we were saying that that's exactly what the problem is. We don't,
Right.
they know you are the mama. They know you are the papa. They know you are the grandma. They
Yes.
know that. They haven't forgotten that, right? Unfortunately, when they were born, they didn't come with instructions. So we are learning this thing, right, called parenting, especially with teens, as we go along, because the teen that you have now is not the child that was 6, that was 7, that was 8 years old, that was still sitting on your lap, still saying mommy I love you a million times, making you all sorts of cards. Now they have mood swings within an hour, probably five
Yes.
minutes right? So they know that you are the parent. What they need for you to do right now is to nurture them, is to show them and teach them the values that they need to become a responsible and accountable adult. They need you to
Yes.
provide them for the tools. They need you to give them that extra beef that they're not getting at school. Because school, they get the academics, right? That's all good. I'm not knocking the educational system,
Yeah. Yeah.
the maths, the English, but they don't teach you core values. That's not their main principle. That's the
Mm.
home's principle. So at home, we need to teach them how to be responsible. We need to teach you how to take accountability, right? And how we do that is by giving them the chance, the opportunity to become responsible. So we always say,
Yes.
you're not responsible. And then I ask the parents, well, what were they responsible for?
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
anything. No, we need to define that. What do you
Yes.
want them to be responsible for? Right? And what are they accountable for? So if you want them to do as what you, as you say, you have to be that.
Yeah.
You have to be that, and that should never come out the mouths of, I am your parent, do as I say. They know that.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. And so our next question asks, how do you find the right balance when asking questions while not wanting to come across nosy to risk them shutting you out?
Absolutely. And again, we touched on this just earlier. So I just love how they're coming back to me so we could go more in depth.
Depth,
Stop
yes.
asking why. Don't ask why. If your teen is hanging around friends that you probably don't like for what unusual reasons, you don't say, so why you hanging around with them for?
Mm,
Teens love friends because that's the
yes.
age they want to be accepted. They ain't thinking bad friend, good friend, they just one friend, right? So
Yes.
when you realize that they're with a group of friends that that just spells trouble all over, and the rage going up in me head, why you let me not with them? Friends will carry you and then go bring you back, and we give them all the
The
long
famous
stories that
line.
all grandparents and our parents gave us. Them gonna say, Mommy, why you against me and my friend? Me and my friend this and that. You don't say why. So I'm gonna give you a valuable, and I hope you've got your pen and paper here, because this, as I said, you can use today asking
Yes.
questions to your teen. So your teen is with the friends. They're not the best of friends to be with. So you say your teen name is Tom. Tom, what do you see in your friends?
Yes.
What
Yes.
makes you attracted to your friends? What does make you want to like spend time with them? Get them
And it
to
goes back to
see
the
for
core of
them.
understanding.
That's correct. Get them
Yeah.
to see for themselves. Do not go on to the tantrum. Friends carry you, don't bring you back. Don't go off any tantrum. You see how that boy looking? Ask
Mm,
them, what do they
yes.
see in their friends? Why do you want to be James' friend? What attracts you to James? you know
Yeah.
and you're not prying, you really want to know, because that is not how you want him to grow up. So something kind of gone wrong. Your
Yes.
thinking is definitely gone a little haywire, so let's
Mm-hmm.
bring you back on track, and then they will start to think, and then the stories will come up. Well, mommy,
Yes.
you know what? Like Tom does make me laugh. Tom does do real stupid things. I say, well, but
Yes.
explain to me what type of those things that he does. So you now
Yes.
engaging in a conversation rather than shouting, yelling, and telling them your friend is no good, your friend bad. We know
Yes.
this, but
Yeah.
we have to allow them to make their own decisions within control, not being controlling, but within control. We're allowing them to make that decision, and we're going to support and empower them through their decisions.
Yes. Definitely. And so our last question says, what are the best approaches for discussing sex, drug, alcohol use, and peer pressure? So a parent wants to know how to share on these topics with their child.
Two things: speak early and speak often. Do not think that your child is too young to know about sex, drugs, and alcohol use, because I'm telling you what, they already know about it. Once, do not be naive. They know about it. They
Yeah.
hear the conversations at school. They hear the conversations on the television. They hear the conversations on their tablets, on their phones, in their
Yes.
Instagram group, and in their peer groups. They know about it. So for us to take charge where our teens are concerned and make sure we keep them safe, you have to speak early and you
Yeah.
have to speak often. There
Yes.
should be no shame. There should be no dressing up of what sex is and those pretty figures and those pretty names that we give our private parts. That doesn't exist. It should be no glamorous story about what drugs and alcohol and going with wrong friends could do. Having
Yes.
that candid conversations is going to show your teen, okay, maybe this is not what I want to do. You're not telling them, this is bad, and I don't want you to do that, and I tell you about it, and you see how they end up. That's shouting.
Yeah.
That's demanding. We are having a discussion. This is what sex is. What questions do you need me to answer about sex? This is
Yes.
what drug this is what statistics says about drugs. This is about where our young men and our young women end up after alcohol use. This is what goes
Yes.
on, right? So we now have to keep abreast of what's going on in the world by reading, by social media, and you get an article or you see something and you say, hey, come, I want to show you this. Couple minutes, not no long documentary, 3, 5 minutes.
Yes.
And then we have a discussion. What did you think about that? Okay.
Yeah.
Allow them to think, allow them
Yes.
to decide. But if you do not speak early and you do not speak often about the difficult subjects, you're allowing someone else on your behalf to speak to your teen about it, and it may not be the right discussion.
Got it. So this has been a great Q&A session. And even now,
Yes.
Janelle, I want to be able to just give you a chance to give spotlight to Inspire Teens and to be able to share with our audience what Inspire Teens is all about and how even as we think about developing our communication skills between the parent and the teen, that Inspire Teens can be a great support.
Absolutely. And why I love what I do is because I'm just so tired of hearing my moms, my parents feel bad for parenting. I'm tired of seeing my teens go astray, right? Because right here in Trinidad, the average age for a young male to live is the age of 23.
Wow.
Our young persons, 86.9% are filled with black young males. Right here in Trinidad, our young ladies at the age of 13 are sexually active and have already been pregnant with older men. Why this is important is that we don't want your teen to end up another stat. Our teens need nurturing. They don't need shouting. They don't need yelling. They don't need to know what we did yesterday. They need to know what we can do today so that they can have a better tomorrow. They need you, regardless of what you think. They need you. They need the mother. They need the father. They need role models. They need the teachers. They
Yes.
need that support. The family, the village that we say it takes a village
Village to
to
raise,
raise a
yes.
child. Well, I'm afraid there is no directions for that village. You need to
Hmm.
create it.
Yes.
You need to create the village. You need to create it. And if you're struggling to do that with the resources that you have at home, raise your hand. It's
Yeah.
okay. You're not alone. It does not stipulate that you're a bad parent and you're failed and it's all gone bad. You only know what you know. But now you need to know more, because if you don't, we are robbing your children of having a better future than what we had.
Definitely. So, Janelle, how can persons get in contact with Inspire Teens?
Well, I'm on Facebook, so you can join our Facebook page, which is Inspire Teens. I would love to see you there. We have really exciting free resources there that I can help you communicate effectively with your teen. And also, you can get our free communication toolbox, which is located on my website, which is www.janelleinspireteens.com.
Yes.
Download the communication toolbox. My God. In there is 5 tested and tried parenting strategies that are going to get you to start to create your bond. Remember,
Yes.
parenting is not, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. That means every day you will get something wrong, you get it correct, you fix it, you tweak it until you get it correct. So be
Yeah.
patient with yourself, know that you're doing an excellent job, and know that your team needs you. and you need yourself as well. So don't forget you.
Definitely, definitely. So, Genielle, thank you for joining us yet
Yeah,
another time. It's been exciting, it's been sobering, it's been informative, and it's
yeah.
been direction packed. That parents can now go forward and take some action and do things differently to improve their communication with their teens. So, thank you so much for joining in
You're
with us.
welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So, mummies, daddies, aunties, and uncles, thank you for taking time to tune in to the Caribbean Parenting Digital Show. Streamed bi weekly, we look forward to having you join us every Wednesday and Sunday as we have conversations about topics that impact and support effective parenting. Those of you who have been here, you should have liked, you should have subscribed, you should have clicked that notification bell. But if you're new, welcome. Welcome to the Caribbean Parenting family. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with others. And until next time, I am your host, Alina Lewis, and we thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great one. Introducing the SRC Elementary Program. Through the SRC Elementary Program, your child will have a fun time learning as we keep our kids productively engaged through participation in various learning structures. Learning activities include math readiness, reading readiness, theater arts, literacy skills, STEM activities, and positive social skills. Now, in order to give individual attention, our classes are small, so register today